Vibrant Living is brought to you by Springwater Insurance Group, teaching you how to buy the best Medicare and supplemental plans for your needs.
Hello, this is Dave Tosch, the Executive Director of the Wenatchee Valley Senior Activity Center, and today I'm with Galen Miller, longtime member of the Senior Center. He's now residing at Prestige Living at Colonial Vista here in Wenatchee. Galen, what can you tell us about your experiences in the Valley?
We came in 1972 to interview at the Church of the Brethren in Sunnyside, or on the west side of it.
Sunny Slope.
Sunny Slope. Yeah. And as Juan and I drove in on Highway 2, we came over, and we had never been to Wenatchee before, but as we came over the hill, just west of town, and there the valley with the Wenatchee River and the Columbia River and the orchards and all of that spread out so beautifully in front of us. We looked at each other and we said, whether we get this job or not, we're going to stay here. And we did. We got the job and we stayed. That was in '72. And I was pastor at the Sunny Slope Church of the Brethren for 7 years, and then became the district executive for the Church of the Brethren for the states of Oregon and Washington. And I remained at that until I retired when I was 69. And
well, that was quite a few years ago.
yeah,
You're 100.
that was a day or two ago.
You're 102 now, so that was over 30 years ago. You've been retired, yeah.
After we retired from the ministry, the district executive job, Wanda and I bought a 35-foot fifth wheel trailer, pulled it with a Ford pickup, and for 5 years we traveled the country over. And that was a great, great experience. You could just go wherever you wanted to go, see whatever you wanted to see, and you always had a comfortable bed to sleep in. And so we did that for 5 years.
Yeah.
That was a great time.
You said you retired in what year again?
I'm sorry,
You
what?
retired, what year did you retire from
Oh, I was
ministry?
69 years old when
Yeah.
I retired, officially retired. Ministers, in a sense, don't retire. And so I frequently would do a short-term interim pastorate. We went to Ohio and did a 9-month interim pastorate at a church in Ohio, a 4-month interim in Idaho, in New Plymouth, Idaho, and then also in Idaho, I did an 9-month interim at the Church of the Brethren in Nampa, Idaho. And while I was the pastor there, they had the city inspection of their building, a real old brick building, downtown Nampa. And the result was that they said, you're going to have to spend a major amount of money to bring this building up to par, up to code. And so we got into that kind of a conversation with the members of the Nampa Church, and I said, well, if you ever do sell this building and buy and start to build a new one, let me know, I'll come and do your plumbing for you. And the senior center, well, for a while we were there almost every lunch.
Well, Galen, you're 102, which means that you were born in 1918, and that was about the time they had the Spanish flu. And you must, you of course don't remember any of that, but what are your memories about what your parents might have had to say about the Spanish flu and any similarities?
They didn't talk about it. We lived through it. We were living in Idaho at the time, very rural kind of town, and I guess it didn't hit that town very hard because Mom and Dad never had it, and I don't remember as a small child hearing them talk about it very much, but it's just kind of fun to say, I've already lived through one pandemic.
And what are your thoughts about the current situation? I know you have to spend a lot of time in your room. You're not able to come down for meals, you know, and congregate at all. You're having to just stay isolated, so to speak. So you have some thoughts about all that?
It's the way we have it. We're having to live in order to meet this pandemic business. As you know, we always had the full dining hall here. There were people here, stallings, and anyhow, we had the dining hall full for our meals, all 3 meals a day, full dining hall. And then this pandemic business started, and we had to stop eating in the dining hall, and that means they service our meals in our rooms. We order the food. I ordered 3 meals ahead of time, and they delivered it to our rooms, and we're eating it by ourselves. And there's nothing you can do about that, but it's just no fun.
Yeah. Just want to thank you for spending a few minutes with us.
Sure, welcome.
And
Fun to do.
The next time you have a birthday and we're open, you're going to be there. We're going to have a big celebration.
I'm Carol Peterson, and I've probably been about 4 years participating in this meals program. Well, mainly it's the people that I work with, that I volunteer with. They're great to work with. And then too, in your heart, you know that people are getting a nutritious, balanced meal. Some people that can't get out of their house or they can't fix food for themselves. Usually I run the heat sealer to seal up the meals when we fix our meals. And sometimes I help put the vegetables in, or I put the labels on the meals so that people know what they're getting when they get the meal. Participating in the meals personally gives me something to do, gets me out of the house. I enjoy meeting other people, so I got people here that I can enjoy socializing with. And then also it makes you feel good because you know you're giving somebody a nutritious meal.
Hi, my name is Dee Clark. I'm Program Director here at the Wenatchee Valley Senior Activity Center. My role in the meal prep program is just support to Penny. I help serve lunch when we're open, and we are serving lunch every day. I help to serve lunch. And for the frozen meals, I come in to the kitchen once a week and help prepare those meals for delivery. I have been at the Senior Center for 11 years. I can't believe it's been that long. And I've pretty much helped with the meal program for the entire time I've been here. We work with OCTN, that's Okanagan County Transportation and Nutrition. They provide the funding for our meals program, and their funding comes from the federal government in the senior meals program. We make up about 200 meals, frozen meals per week, and OCTN has employees that picks those up once a week and then delivers those to the people that are on their home delivered meals program. The community could help support this program by volunteering to get these meals delivered. I know we have a shortage of volunteers, not only for our program, but I am assuming that the hospital's program probably needs volunteers also. That's the best way for people to help. We are completely closed with the exception of our thrift store. So we have many, many programs that go on here every single day of the week, and we aren't able to provide any of that during the shutdown.
My name is Leanne Weathersby, and I am a program assistant for the Chelan and Douglas County areas. I cover all of Chelan and Douglas County. And I cook meals from Chelan, Leavenworth, and I also take care of all of the home delivered meals throughout the 2 counties. We cover just a little over 4,000 meals a month through the 2 counties currently. The meal program is really important to me. Our seniors are a part of our community that sometimes get overlooked a little more than a lot of people think. I know that you have moms and dads here, aunts, uncles, grandparents. You might not live here. We're their source of not only food, companionship, but we're that person that can check in on them and for their well-being. We deliver once a week. We're working really hard at trying to get up and going to where when we don't have a congregate meal here, we can deliver more than once a week so that we can do those well checks for everybody's parents, and we can make sure that they're getting fed, that they're, any kind of medical that might be needed, we can help with that.
My name is Penny Peterson. I work here at the Wenatchee Valley Senior Activity Center. Right now we're making frozen meals to be delivered to those that are homebound. Before the COVID, it was so different, and so we cooked for several people. I mean, we had the social hall open and people would come in and eat lunch. But once COVID came along, then we couldn't do that anymore. So we decided to do the frozen meals. And so the people that were at home that couldn't get out were still being provided for. We're still making lots of meals. We're doing about 200 a week, and that's about 800 or so a month. That's quite a few. So, and it's quite challenging because you don't want to give them the same thing. So you're cooking different meals at the same time. So it can be quite challenging trying to keep that all together and making sure that they are, because they have to meet a requirement as well. They have to have protein and carbs and the vegetables and that sort of thing. I'm hoping that everybody will get in touch with the proper people and apply to be able to get these meals at home. That's what we're here for. That's what we're doing this, why we're doing this. So yeah, it's a great program. Please take advantage of that.
Right now, people are just now learning that they can get meals. When they used to come to congregate in Chelan, Eniat, Madsen, Leavenworth, and Wenatchee, these 5 sites, since they've closed down, that's that many people that are not getting these meals. They're just starting to learn now that they can have them delivered. Granted, they are frozen meals. They are made at each site, like they would be if you're a congregate meal. They are frozen, and so people didn't know about this. So we're just slowly getting them back on, and we don't know how long this is going to take. We don't know when we can reopen. As senior centers and dealing with the elderly, we're going to be the last thing to open. So you're looking at, after the first year, you might be into March before we can do anything like that. So we have to take care of our seniors, and that's the only way we can do that. I have several different people that deliver for us, but my delivery route is I handle Crescent Bar, I handle Rock Island, Malaga, Monitor, Ardenvort, and Entiat. So I go into all the outer reaches area, and there's usually 3 or 4 people in each one of those. We'd like to obviously build up those numbers, but those are the ones that we have in those areas now. The Wenatchee and East Wenatchee areas specifically, we have different drivers that will handle 7 to 9 people at a time for those. And then you move towards Chelan, and we have 30 or so that we're delivering there. If you know of anybody 60 years or older that could benefit from our program, we would be happy to talk to you. You can call me, you can call the senior centers, and they will get the message to myself, and I can check things out for you, and we'd be happy to help where we can.
Hi, I'm Jim Heinlein, and previously I talked to you about the Medicare on the green side of the page and box 1. So, box number 2, Medigap supplements. Now there are 10 Medigap supplements for you to choose from. And why do we even want a Medigap supplement? Well, because remember Medicare A and B has a MOOP. Remember the car with no brakes? We don't want that. So the Medigap supplements are going to stop those unpaid portions from getting too large. Again, there are 10 Medigap supplements to choose from. Each is a varying degree of covering the unpaid portions of Medicare A and Medicare B. So now the big question is, if there's 10 Medigap supplements, how do I choose the right one for me? Well, that's where we come in at Springwater Insurance Group. We will teach you how to shop and compare from all available plans. Because if you shop and compare, we will help you get the most suitable coverage for the least expense. And that's what we all want. So if you have questions about what Medigap plan is right for you, give us a call at Springwater Insurance Group. That's 888-2600.
Hello, my name is Darrell Dickinson. I am the board member of the Wenatchee Valley Senior Activity Center. We have a special guest today, Keith Madsen from Americore, and we had the opportunity to hear Keith speak a little bit recently, and he's actually part of his information is on our Facebook page. But Keith has a very interesting topic. We have a lot of pandemics going on, and one that we don't oftentimes think about. We hear about it maybe in the news media we think of typically younger people, about opioids, but it also affects older people, right?
That is correct.
So I'd just like to welcome you, Keith, and why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do, and what we can learn about the opioid pandemic.
All right, sounds good. Well, I am Keith Madsen, and I am actually a retired minister. But when I retired, I wanted to find something meaningful to do, you know? And so I work now with Americore, and for Americore, I've been doing these presentations on the opioid pandemic. And as you say, everybody knows about the coronavirus pandemic. We know that right now, over 225,000 people have died since the beginning in our country, and many more, of course, around the world. And so we know very much about that pandemic. We are paying less attention to the opioid pandemic, which is older. Probably since it started, over 700,000 Americans have died from the opioid pandemic. And we know that when in 1999, 6,000 people died from drug overdose, and of those, about 2/3 were from opioids. By 2017, that had increased to over 70,000 people. And many times people think, well, this is just all people in the bad areas of the big cities. Young people who are experimenting and having fun with drugs and things like that. And that is not the way this pandemic has operated. It really got under a head of steam because of overprescription of opioid prescription medications. And these include medications like oxycodone, OxyContin, Percocet, Vicodin, and a more recent one, fentanyl. So these were overprescribed because the pharmaceutical companies went around telling doctors and whining and dining them, taking them to big conferences where everything was paid for, and telling them that the people aren't going to get addicted to these. You have an obligation to your patient to make them not feel all that pain, and these will take away their pain, and there's no addiction, virtually no addiction possibilities, and they were lying. It was not the case. Doctors under this direction were prescribing these for 30, 60, 90 days, and people were getting addicted right and left. And so that's why the numbers increased so rapidly. But now, doctors are much more circumspect in terms of prescribing these medications. And generally, what medical organizations have said in terms of opioid prescriptions now is that they are relatively safe under 3 circumstances. 1, they are prescribed by a doctor. As I say, doctors have gotten the message now. 2, they're prescribed, they're being used by the person for whom it is prescribed. Not, you've got them in your medicine cabinet, your grandson has a headache, give him an opioid. Oh, wow, is that bad? You don't do that. Prescriptions are for a specific person with a specific condition and a specific medical history. And that's how the doctors prescribe them. They do not apply to other people who might be related or passing through the house. Now, what happens with opioids? What are they supposed to do? Well, what they're supposed to do, what they generally do, is that they relieve pain for things like surgery, after surgeries or accidents, sometimes a severe back injury. But again, you want to do this for a limited period of time within that scope. So they relieve pain. They relieve pain because when you're injured, the pain signal comes up from your body through your spinal cord to the brain. And you don't feel the pain until it gets to the brain. So that kind of rhymes, doesn't it? Don't feel the pain until it gets to the brain. And so, when it gets to the brain, that's when you feel it. So what opioids do is they block the signal. It doesn't get to the brain. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay? So that's why you don't feel the pain. The second thing that they do is that they stimulate endorphins to produce a chemical called dopamine, which is naturally in your body, in your brain. And that goes to the pleasure center of your brain, which is right in the center of your brain. And that gives you a rush of good feeling. So opioids relieve pain, and they make you feel good. What's the problem? Well, we've already touched upon the problem, all these people dying. And the reason why all these people are dying, there's several things that happen. One, let's just talk about the present, your life as it is, not dying. Let's talk about what it does to your life. See, there's a natural process for producing dopamine in your body. Generally, there are things that you really enjoy. Maybe it's being together with friends. Maybe it is, eating dark chocolate, or having a great run, or anything that really gives you pleasure. And what happens then is that the brain naturally produces dopamine from that experience to make you feel good. What happens when you have drugs involved? When the drug becomes involved, it's like the brain says, wait a minute, I don't have to do this anymore.